Hello my sweethearts, here we are in Geevor's sample house. It was in this room that you had samples taken from loads underground to be tested for their tin quantity. Several gentlemen worked in here over the years, one of whom was Colin McClary. Colin was also a member of Geevor's rescue team, so we're going to go over to the rescue room and ask Colin what it was like to be a member of Geevor's rescue team. Let's go find him. So, here we are. Colin McClary, like I said, mine rescue as well as a sampler. And so what was your role in the mine rescue team? How did that come about?
Initially, when I changed jobs, I moved into sampling, as you said, and because the samplers ranged over the whole mine, we had a pretty good knowledge of where everybody was at any time. So quite simply, each team really needed a guide as such, and the captain of the team would have worn number 1 set. My set was number 5 as vice captain.
Right, and this was breathing apparatus.
It's a Proto Mark 5. They're made by a company called C.B. Gorman. This is the Mark 5 version, and they are they're a set that you would wear in smoke, either smoke from an underground fire or smoke after the explosives had been set off. That produces a lot of smoke. So it's a self-contained breathing apparatus. The front of the bag, you can actually see what lies within the bag. A rubber bag,
right,
which has got 2 compartments, a front compartment here and a back compartment there. Into this bag would be placed this granular material called Protosorb. The idea of Protosorb is that it's a CO2 scrubber. So as you exhale, your breath passes through the Protosorb, which takes away the CO2.
Right.
So you could make this cylinder of oxygen, which in normal time probably wouldn't last much more than half an hour, you could make it last at least 2 hours. And when we did entrapped procedure, which is practicing, say you were in the end of a tunnel and there was a collapse, you couldn't get out, you could make the set last for about 6-7 hours.
Wow.
By controlled breathing. The biggest problem with the system is that you've got this chemical Protosorb at the bottom of the bag, and as you breathe through it, a chemical reaction takes place, and that reaction produces heat. So the longer you wear the set, the more heat, the hotter it gets. We did have something here at the front called the cooler, or laughingly called the cooler, because it didn't really cool very much at all. And again, one of the biggest problems with these sets is the weight. When you're looking at 17 kilos there, so that means you've got 2.5 stone on you. In heavy smoke, we would also have to wear a pair of goggles like these. These are old and broken, but nevertheless, that's what we wore. Again, you've got a rubber mouthpiece. Mouthpiece, nose clip. So verbal communication is impossible.
Yeah.
We used to communicate with each other using a bicycle horn. The captain at the front of the team would make a signal. Me at the rear, wearing number 5, would repeat that signal. So in thick smoke, you've got a job to see each other, but that would tell the team captain that I'm at the back still, and there should be 3 people between us.
Right.
And all communication by the horn. And we would use the signal code there. So we got it there as hoots. 1 hoot, 2 hoot, 3, 4, 5. They're the basic commands that you need. The rest of it's done by Simon. is done by sign language.
Right. And as part of the role of the rescue team, as I understand it, was your phone at home and everybody had landlines was paid for by the mine?
No,
it wasn't.
No.
Oh, I thought they was set up whereby they would phone you.
No,
like an
because
emergency service.
when you think about it, the mining work, the basic day shift was 7 till 3.
Yeah.
We were on site all that time ourselves. So, from my point of view, if the phone rang in the sample house, or
Right.
sometimes we could hear the shaft bells, you'd hear 10 bells, you knew there had been an accident. In that system, you'd also hear what level it had happened. So, first you'd hear 10 bells, and then say it was on 14 level, you'd hear 1-9 bells. So, you knew there had been an accident of some kind on 14. You would then, by telephone, try to establish contact with 14 to find out exactly what was happening. A lot of it was first aid stuff that we did. Obviously, we've got the 2 types of stretcher, the cheerfully named coffin lid stretcher, which was used for back injuries.
Right.
But it's very heavy,
Sturdy.
really heavy, this thing.
Made of wood, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wood, yeah, and it's got wooden runners at the back, and it's got iron on it, so it's a lump. Most of the time we use the Robertson stretcher. These were, I believe, initially designed for ship rescues, getting people out of engine rooms. But they're quite light, and you can see once you've got somebody strapped in, they're really quite compact. Only 4 people to carry. And again, we had a drill where you would say, I'd be carrying at the front with my right hand, I would then move to the back and carry the back or the feet with my left hand. So each time you dropped, change position 2 places, so it meant that you were actually not overstraining either left or right arms in doing, trying to get people out.
Right.
And compared to the coffin lid, it's a much lighter.
Easier.
Yeah. We used to practice getting people out of the shaft ladder way in these things. So you'd have 2 people at the top with a rope each attached to the head. And say if I'm on the feet end, I'd be climbing the ladder with the feet resting on my shoulder. So they would pull, I would take a step up on the ladder, pull, step. So you're hanging onto the ladder with one hand, with
Somebody's weight on you here.
their feet on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Luckily, we weren't used that often at all. Most of the times we were used, we wouldn't actually be using a breathing apparatus. I mean, we trained every week, every Wednesday afternoon,
Every Wednesday
after work
afternoon.
for a couple of hours.
Let's come have a closer look. So you trained every Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah.
Was that as a team here? Did you work with the emergency services outside of?
No,
Just in here.
Well, we would obviously train in here. I mean, these sets have to be dismantled and checked every week.
Yeah.
Checking all the valves were working. And there's quite a few controls on these sets as well. They're not a simple thing to use.
No, there's a lot of.
Pressure gauge in the little pouch that tells you how much oxygen you got left in your cylinder. We're never allowed to call them anything but cylinders, not bottles. You'd get Italian off for calling it a bottle. It's a cylinder.
And there were 2 teams. You had your blue and red team.
Blue and red. Yeah.
So there was always a team on site all the time then.
Yeah.
Right.
It was initially when I first joined the rescue team, there was only 1 team.
That's it.
Then the number of personnel increased underground, whereby then we needed an extra team. And it was my suggestion at the time that we, instead of having an A team and a B team, which was all the rest of the mines had, we wouldn't have that because there's always that association that the B team's not quite as good as the A team, which is total rubbish. So red team had red helmets.
Oh yeah.
And blue team obviously had blue helmets, so no A and B.
So you didn't feel let down if the B team was sent to rescue you, did you?
No, yeah.
It was just one of those things. So you said there weren't that many times when you were needed?
No, not at all, luckily. I mean, we trained in real conditions. We would actually go into one of the ends down underground within probably half an hour of the gelignite being set off.
Right.
So the atmosphere would be thick and poisonous, so you had to make sure that you were doing it for real, and if you didn't have this functioning properly, you could get into trouble. Yeah. We did have once in the substation further down the road there, we had a fire. The transformers were catching alight and they couldn't isolate the supply. So they put us down there with breathing apparatus on, and we would extinguish the fire, and then of course after a while it would get hot again and it would catch light again. We would go in and put it out. And I think we used every extinguisher on the mine that time. It was great fun. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
So some old photographs of back in the day. There's the team. At that time there were 6 on that team. I can't remember exactly why. This was taken in 77. This is 1978 after we won the mine rescue competition at South Crofty. We then went on to the national finals in Wales. These are photographs of the underground mock-ups that we actually practiced in. You can see the team there carrying the new Robertson stretcher. This is after the competition. Jack Trimbath, who was chief sampler, my boss. John O'Hawkin, who worked in engineering. Eric Gale, captain, who was a shaft master at Geevor. Cyril Honey, who worked something called the Alamac Raise Climber underground. Myself, double denim, longer hair of course. Alan Reynolds, who was worked a bit in geology, a bit of sampling, a bit of surveying, multi-skilled. And I think if you can notice in the photograph, flares, I've just recently gone from flares into straight leg jeans, but I've still got the full-on double denim thing going on there. But I think it was a job we really did enjoy. It was hard work at times. We really were put through it, but yeah, absolutely loved doing it.